You spend weeks, even months preparing for a race, and that preparation shouldn't stop just because you've packed your bags and you're on the way to the event. In order to give yourself the best chance of a perfect race, you need to know the course inside out. So in this video, we're going to be going through how to do a pre-course recce. You should have the chance to look up some of the race details before you head to your event, but you can't beat knowing the actual course and what to expect on race day. So this is where a pre-course recce, or recon as some people call it, comes into its element. Make the most of the resources that you do have. So look at the map that gets sent to you in your event pack, or check it online, and do compare it with Google Maps or a local map. And if you can, look at the satellite version, or if you want some real detail, get out your OS map, as that will show you the contours. And talking of contours, it is always worth noting the profile of the course and the numbers of that, because it isn't always to scale. Beyond that, try and find some locals who know the race route well, or even better, find some fellow athletes who've raced on the course before, and make sure you do attend the briefing, especially if you're racing at this venue for the first time. Although, having said all of that, you cannot beat getting out there and trying the course out yourself. If you do have a chance to get in and swim on the actual marked course, it's a great idea. You can use this to check for any sighting points that might be on the land, and also look at the buoys, because it might sound obvious, but it does look different when you're down at water level than it will be from the land. Right, check out your start point and where you want to ideally position yourself, because if it is a mass start, you might think going to the closest point to the first buoy is the best option. It's not always so, because if you are a slightly weaker swimmer, you might find yourself getting squashed by all the faster swimmers, and you're actually better off starting a little bit further out and having a smoother route to that buoy. Final part of the swim recce, check out the exit. So you want to know when it gets shallow enough to put your hands and your feet down and where you'll start running. But if you want more detail on how to do your swim exit, we've actually made a video, and the link will be in the description at the end of this. Try and ride as much of the bike course as you can beforehand. And if you're there a few days early, even better, because you'll probably be able to fit more of it in to go with your training plan. But if, for example, you're doing an Ironman course and it's a 1 lap, realistically, you're not going to be able to ride it. So drive as much as you can. And if you've got the chance, pop your bike in the car and then take it out and just ride some of the technical sections. And another option or addition is to record the route on video. So either when you're driving it or you're cycling it, you can watch it back to help yourself, but you can also share it with teammates who've maybe not had the chance to do the recce. And for example, this course here in Glasgow, someone actually recorded the route and they popped it on Facebook for everyone to see. If you do get a chance to ride it, you might want to save your legs, but try and ride the trickier parts at race pace, as that replicates what it's going to be like on race day. And also imagine you're not going to have a completely quiet, clear road. There'll be other riders around you. And just look at the surface and note how it might be if the weather conditions change. Well, then try and go through the course in your head, thinking about the corners, your gear selection for the hills, where there are easier sections that you might want to use for taking on your own nutrition, or if you're using course nutrition, where those stations are. And then think about the sections of the course where you can really make sure you're aero, and consider where there's great places for overtaking. Wind direction will also play a part, and if you're riding along where there's gateways, be aware, because it could suddenly take your wheel. So just check the forecast beforehand. And finally, and probably one of the most important parts, make sure you know where the mount and the dismount line are, because you don't want to miss those. This is probably the least important of the 3 to check out, but if you have got time to do a recce of the run course, it's still worth it, as you'll then know what to expect. And little things like the surface of the run might not seem an issue when you're out for a jog, but remember, this comes at the end of the triathlon and you're going to be more tired, so it just helps to be prepared. Walk or jog as much of the course as is sensible, and if it's a course like this, you could probably cycle it, or if it's a road run, then you might well be able to drive it in the car. And note any aspects such as hills, and if you want, maybe try running up them, just so you've got an idea of what to expect when it comes to the race, and have a strategy. For example, in Kona, there was one big hill which my coach actually gave me the instructions to walk, and I thought that was a bit strange, but when it came to the race, it meant that I was sticking to my plan and I felt good as a result. On the subject of walking, check out where the feed stations are going to be if you're planning on using the race day nutrition, or if you're using your own, then plan where exactly on the race you're going to take that in case your watch fails and you don't have your mile markers. And as we are talking about nutrition, we probably should point out, do note where the loos are, because you might not intend to use them, but it's better to be prepared. if you've only got time to do one thing when it comes to the course recce, make sure you check out the transition zone. You can walk through it to start with a friend, but then go back and make sure you concentrate on exactly where your bike is, where the entrance and the exit is. It's amazing when you get to race day with a little bit less oxygen going to your brain, adrenaline flowing, lots of people around you, it can seem much harder to find your bike. And a tip that I often do is jog through it, because then it just comes up that bit faster and you know you've got it. And then check the direction of the entry and the exit. And also, there's going to be athletes probably coming in when you're going out, so make sure you know which side you're supposed to keep on. And for the transition zone, there's basically 4 different areas you need to look at, because you're going to be doing swim into the bike out onto the bike course, you come back in from the bike, and then finally, the run out. Yes, race day is about you and your performance, but if you are lucky enough to have any supporters coming along, such as your coach, your family, or any friends, then it's worth having a chat with them beforehand to work out where it's best for them to go. For example, your coach, you might want them to be at an area where you need some reminders of your technique, or you want splits on your times. Friends, you might want to think of the best area where they can see as much as possible. And maybe family, you want them in a really tough part of the course where you just need that extra bit of motivation. These are all extra things that are worth considering when you're doing that course recce. Basically, you want to know every part of the course as well as you possibly can. But having said that, don't panic if you've not had a chance to get out on it or even see it. Make the most of the opportunities you do have. So speak to someone who has done it firsthand, speak to the organisers and get as familiar as you can, because a little bit of preparation now will make your race day experience that much more enjoyable and more successful. Well, if you've enjoyed this and you want to catch all of our videos from GTN, hit the globe to subscribe. And whilst we're talking about course recces, we have done a video specifically on open water swim recce, and that is just here.